Almost. You're going now? All right, sorry, we had some technical difficulties. So that puck is down deep in the Bell Tire zone, picked up by McKenzie, sending it up to Palucci. Palucci finding Dobbs in neutral. Dobbs gains his own. Dobbs pull back into the corner. Orlick on the half wall. And Agbe coming in to keep that puck in the Madison zone. Agbe in neutral. Agbe turning up ice. Agbe through the slot. Down into the corner. Back to McKenzie. Shot off the post. Goes back to the corner. Sent up to the half wall. Picked up by Agbe. And now collected in by Capitals. Turned over in neutral to McKenzie, who chips it ahead for Agbe. Agbe now down into the opposite corner. Madison sending it behind their own net. Hewer dropping it back to Caitlin. Caitlin's shot is going to go wide of the net. Out to the corner, to the half wall, and cleared by Madison. That's going to be off net. And we will have a icing with 8:47 remaining in this first period. I didn't schedule it to start, though. So face off in the Madison zone. Clemens out with Cruciano. Martin and Flanagan on D here. Caitlin sending it deep. Puck drop back to Martin. Martin, shot blocked. And in a foot race, Martin catches up in the Bell Tire zone. And picked up by Caitlin behind her own net. Now Kazarovski spinning, going behind her own net, sending it ahead to Caitlin. Caitlin's pass blocked by Madison and kept in at the blue line. Now Martin one-on-one. Martin keeping that puck out of the slot. Picked up by Kazarovski, sent ahead to Cruciano. Clemens looking to get that puck deep, and Madison regains possession in neutral. Cut off by Martin. Martin kicking it ahead. Centering pass by Madison. He's going to go wide of the net, and the net will come off to stop play. As play resumes, we're going to have Markovich out there with Palucci, Dobbs, McKenzie, and Morton. Shot by Madison, wide of the net. Rebound attempt covered up by Grun. Same personnel for Bell Tire. Dobbs to take the draw. Dobbs wins that back. Morton goes over to McKenzie. McKenzie going up to Dobbs. Dobbs gets a stick on it in neutral. Intercepted by Madison. Madison shifting ahead. Picked up by McKenzie. McKenzie in her zone. Off the wall. Looking for Palucci. Gets a tip on it, and that goes down into the Madison zone. 7:06 on the clock. Bell Tire line change. Orlick out with Hewer. Agbay, McKenzie, and Morton. This draw is going to be in the Capital zone. Pulled back by Hewer. Dropped to McKenzie. Shot into the slot. Agbay looking for a turnaround shot. Gets blocked by Madison. Clear attempt picked up by Hewer. Now McKenzie sends it deep down into the Capital zone where they go off their back wall behind their net to the half wall. Shot in by Morton. Wide of the net behind the Capitals net. Sent up ice. Deflected momentarily by McKenzie. Now Madison on a rush. Saved by Grun. Hewer in to help. Capitals now in the slot. Puck is all over the place. Grun making a couple great key saves there. Madison trying to, and we're going to end up with a tripping call here on Bell Tire. This is going to be a penalty kill once Bell Tire can touch up on the puck. And play is stopped. We have a tripping penalty on Bell Tire with 5 minutes and 59 seconds remaining in the period. 2 shots on goal for Madison, 1 for Bell Tire. Markovich, Dobbs, Martin, Flanagan on ice for Bell Tire for the penalty kill. Puck is down, 1 to the side at the half wall. Stepping in is Dobbs. Madison up at their point. Madison back to the half wall. Back up top. Madison looking for a shot. Shot gets deflected by Grun. Caitlin Flanagan in the corner. Capitals trying to work their way back out. Shot in. Defended aside by Grun. Back to the corners, Caitlin. That puck comes free up at the half wall, and it's regained possession by Capitals. Capitals go up top. Going across D to D. Wide. We're going to have a high stick. And that high stick is going to result in a face-off in the Bell Tire zone, also giving them a change. Clemens on ice. Trying to see the other Bell Tire players. Looks like we've got Palucci out there. McKenzie and Morton as Capitals get that to the back of the net to make this a 1-0 game, Madison. 5 minutes and 8 seconds on the clock. Penalty will clear. Bell Tire will go up full strength. All right, Bell Tire back underway here. Hewer out with Orlick, Agbay. Looks like Morton and Flanagan. Madison up top to their point, sending it wide of the net. McKenzie is the Flanagan on ice right now with Morton. Picked up by Morton. Gets it up to Agbay. Agbay turning up ice. Agbay going wide to Hewer. Hewer now on a drive. Hewer gaining his zone. Shot wide of the net. Picked up, sent back to McKenzie. McKenzie shifting it in. Orlick. Orlick shot blocked. Pass back to McKenzie. Or I'm sorry, Caitlin. Caitlin's shot goes wide of the net. Madison behind their own. Sorry, that was Bowman's shot. And Madison here. Bowman gets a stick on it. Keeps it at the half wall. Picked up by Orlick. Orlick battling at the door of Bell Tire. Bowman Over to Flanagan. Flanagan turns. Makes a move at the half wall and gets it up ice. That's going to be on net, so icing's going to be waved off, and Madison's going to cover. Kozarowski on this draw. Madison goes behind their own net, up the half wall, chased down by Clemens, and rolls out to neutral. Sent deep into the Bell Tire zone, chased down by Caitlin. Caitlin going up the wall, reverses, comes back the other way. And that puck's going to roll over to Grund, who covers. 3:24 on the clock. Martin and Morton, it looks like, coming in for Bell Tire with Agbe, Markovich, and Dobbs. Dobbs on the draw. Puck is down. Morton sends it behind the net, looking for Martin. Martin with a stretch pass. That's going to get tipped. No icing. Picked up by Agbe. Agbe looking for the centering pass to Dobbs. Dobbs. Backhand shot gets deflected and turned aside. Drop back to Morton. Morton's shot makes it through and is covered up by Capitals goalie. 3:06 on the clock. Dobbs on the draw. Puck's down. Capitals looking for it. Puck's rolling around in the zone. Comes out to neutral. Defended by Martin. Martin steps up. Capitals drop it deep. Morton to pick it up. Sending it up the wall. Finding Agbe. Agbe gets a tip on it. Shifts out to the Capitals defenseman. And now deep in the Bell Tire zone. It's going to be collected in by Martin on the wall. Martin shifting it ahead. Clears the zone. Comes out. Capitals with possession in neutral. Chipped back in. That's going to be a non-icing call. Now picked up by Martin. Martin going back the other way, looking for Morton. Morton going up to Agbe. Agbe trying to get a tip on it. Couldn't quite catch it. Shipped back in by Capitals. Martin. Martin on the wall is tripped up on the play, and Capitals carried around. Now picked up by Hewer. Hewer battling in the corner with Morton. Puck comes free at the half wall. Dropped back by Capitals. Deflected by Bellucci and kicked out of the zone. Capitals with a rush. They're going to drop it in, and it's going to hit a player on the bench in the Bell Tire side. So we'll have a draw just outside of the Bell Tire zone as the defense is going to go for a change. Bellucci on ice with Hewer. And the Flanagan's on D. Caitlin over to McKenzie. McKenzie on a rush. Poke checked by Capitals, but makes her way down into the Capitals zone in the corner. Centering pass intercepted by Capitals, and a big collision on the ice. Dropped back by Bell Tire, picked up by McKenzie in our own zone. Going back to Caitlin. Caitlin with the puck. Caitlin shipping it in. Makes its way into the Capitals zone as they play it behind their own net. Bellucci now in the corner, and Capitals break out. They drop it deep into the Bell Tire zone. This is going to be chased down by Caitlin. Caitlin in the corner. And the puck frozen in the corner. Kicked out by Kozarowski over to McKenzie. McKenzie at the half wall. Now picked up by Clemens. Kozarowski skating through neutral. Drops it deep, goes for a change. Cruciano behind the Capitals net. 48 seconds remaining in the period. Sent rink wide by the Capitals as they go through neutral. Defended by Bowman. Shot on net. Picked up by Grund. And Capitals have it behind the Bell Tire net. And the ref lost sight of the puck and blows the play dead. 33 seconds remaining in this first period. Ice cut will not be after this period. It'll be between the second and the third. As Bell Tire gets some new personnel out. Dobbs to take the draw. One back to Bowman. Bowman sending it around, looking for Markovic. Markovic on the half wall, shifting it ahead to Agbay just offside. Markovic catches her own pass. Goes down. Agbay looking for the puck in the slot. Capital send it behind their own net. Now Agbay. Capital's on their half wall, sending it up ice. Is going to be defended by Martin. Martin cutting off the Capitals player in her own zone, chasing it around. Capitals out front, and the horn blows to end the first period. Capitals up by 1. We're going to get going back here in the second period. On D, we're going to have Martin and Flanagan. With Agbay, Hewer, and Orlick. Puck is down. Capitals in their own zone. Sending it up through neutral. Martin getting a stick on it, pushing ahead to Agbay. Hit the ref skates, drops it back to Hewer. Capitals regain possession. Coming up through neutral. McKenzie to chase. Capitals looking for a centering pass. Hewer in to help. Now Martin back. Martin going to the corner. Capitals drop it up to their point. Shoot in on net. Wide. It's going to be chased down by Agbay and Hewer. Picked up by Martin. Martin now looking up ice. Catching Agbay on a pass off the wall. Agbay and Orlick now. Shot is going to go wide of the net. And it comes out to neutral. Picked up by Caitlin. Capitals in their own zone. Off a skate in neutral. Bell Tires falling over the bench. Capitals getting the Bell Tire zone. Stepped up by Martin. Orlick sending it ahead to Kazarowski. Kazarowski in the zone. Going behind the Capitals net. Waiting for reinforcement. Picks the puck up. McKenzie's shot is going to be covered up by Capitals goalie to freeze play. On ice, Morton, McKenzie, Clemens, Kazarowski, and Cruciano. Puck is down. Capitals behind their net. Going up the half wall. Trying to get it out. Deflected back in. Reset. Out to neutral. Sent back in by Morton. And that puck comes free out to neutral. Picked up by McKenzie. Chips it back. And Capitals keep that in the zone. 13-18 on the clock. Up the half wall for Cruciano. Couldn't quite make the connection. And the puck's dropped back down into the Bell Tire zone. Cleared ahead. Picked up by Clemens. Clemens ships ahead. No icing. Capitals chase down to their own zone. Capitals now coming up ice into neutral. And that puck is sent down deep. Cleared aside by Grun, picked up by Morton. Chipped ahead. Lucci shot. Turned aside by the Madison goalie. And Madison regains possession, coming out up through neutral. This is chased down by Markovic and Bowman. Now Dobbs running into the boards. Getting it deep. Dobbs gets a skate on it. Picked up by Markovic in the Bell Tire zone. Chipped ahead. And we're going to have an icing on that one. 12:05 on the clock. Bowman and Caitlin on ice for Bell Tire with Hewer, Agbe, and Orlick. Hewer on the draw, 12:05 on the clock. Hewer drops it back to Bowman. Now picked back up by Hewer. Hewer going to Agbe. Agbe trying to come through neutral. Agbe gains his own. Agbe's shot gets deflected wide of the net. Picked up by Hewer, dropped back to Bowman. Bowman sends it in on net. Picked up by Agbe. Agbe's shot turned aside by the goalie. Great shot by Agbe. Picked up, gonna be turned aside by Grun. Picked up by Caitlin. Caitlin trying to get it up to Orlick on the half wall. Now Hewer. Hewer through neutral. Over to Agbe in a collision at center ice. Now picked up by Bowman. And back out to neutral's Capitals. Caitlin behind her own net. Keeps it moving. Going to shift it ahead, looking for a stretch pass. Cruciano going up. Kozarowski on an offsides as Orlick was trying to get to the bench. Now we are going to have Clemens, Kozarowski, Cruciano, Martin, and I believe Morton. That puck going to go the length, and we're going to have an icing. 10:57 on the clock. Draw is going to come inside the Capital zone. Kozarowski on the draw. Tripped up to the half wall. Kept in. Martin takes an elbow to the back of the head. Capitals trying to turn in. And Morton with some good D. That puck trying to get chipped out. Picked up at the half wall. Sent around to Martin. Martin going up to Clemens. Clemens chips it out. Kozarowski in here trying to battle. Clemens chips it ahead. Now picked up and sent in by Morton. Bell Tire goes for a change. Clemens to chase. Palucci. Palucci intercepting a pass. Going off the wall, finding herself. Down into the corner. Dobbs in to help. Puck's going to come free and go right to the Capitals goalie. We're going to have Mackenzie and Caitlin Flanagan out on D. Markovic, Dobbs, I believe Palucci. 10:10 on the clock. Puck is down. Dobbs and Markovic fighting. Capitals come out. Stick lift by Palucci. Gets the puck back. Markovic looking to drop to Caitlin. Caitlin over to Mackenzie. Mackenzie shot. Blocked out front by Capitals. Picked up and sent out to neutral. Capitals gained the zone. Palucci lost her stick in the rush behind the Bell Tire net. Capitals with possession, dropping up to their point. Shot in. Blocked out front in the slot. Picked up at the dot by the Capitals. Down into the corner. Mackenzie able to pick the puck free and send it out to neutral. Off the wall, Capitals send it deep into the Bell Tire zone. This is going to be chased down by Mackenzie. She sends it over to Caitlin. Caitlin with time, off the half wall, finding Agbe, who shoots it ahead gains the zone in Capitals and allows for a change. Hewitt chasing, applying pressure. Orlick out with Agbe. Stretch pass from Capitals, makes it. Martin to defend. And a stick lift by Bowman stops the centering pass, now picked up by Agbe. Agbe off the wall, looking to try and find Orlick on a rush. Capitals gain possession in neutral. Chipping it ahead, picked up by Martin. Martin going behind her own net. Martin with some space. Martin sending it ahead to Orlick. Orlick chipping it in, intercepted by Capitals. Capitals go back ahead, picked up back by Martin. Martin gets it to Orlick. Orlick on the wall, gets it down to Martin, and Bowman's going to collect that in the Bell Tire zone. And that will be no icing wave. Bell Tire going on a change. Kozarowski back in with Clemens. Clemens on the wall, tipping it back in, intercepted by Capitals, and hits a Bell Tire player on the bench. 8:02 on the clock. Bell Tire with 8 shots, Capitals with 6. Capitals with up 1-0. Kozarowski on the draw. Clemens out there with Norton. And oh, we are having a goalie change as they drop the puck. We're going to redo that. Streeter heading into the net. Mackenzie Flanagan, Morton, Kozarowski, Cruciano, and Clemens on ice for Bell Tire. Puck is down. Cruciano. Capitals pick it up at the half wall. Picked up by Flanagan. Over to Clemens. Clemens retreating. Sends it back to Morton. Morton over to Flanagan. Flanagan coming through. Mackenzie. Shot wide of the net. Rims around. Morton picks it up off the wall. Gets it back deep. Capitals gain possession in the corner. Chip it up ahead. Mackenzie fires it back in. Cruciano race behind the net. Now Kozarowski. Markovic going behind the net. Markovic in the corner. Shifting it back around. Looking for Cruciano. Cruciano going in hard. Finding Dobbs. Back around to Markovic. Markovic pinned behind the Capitals net. Dobbs stepping in to help. Puck is sent around and just saved in by Flanagan, who sends it back in on net. Capitals shot goes wide. Picked up by Orlick. Orlick trying to get it back to her D, who was coming in to help try and get that puck home. Flanagan sending it up. Catching Orlick. Palucci in with Orlick. And that puck's going to go deep into the Bell Tire zone. Icing wave. Bowman. Caitlin centering pass. Shot is going to make it to the back of the net and make this a 2-0 game for the Capitals. 6:24 on the clock. 8 shots on net for Bell Tire, 7 for Capitals. Puck is down. One back to Caitlin. Caitlin to Martin. Martin goes off a stick. Goes back into the Bell Tire zone. Caitlin spins the net, drops it off to Martin. Martin sends it around to Palucci. Palucci trying to get it out from behind her own net. Capitals send it around. That's picked up by Flanagan, who chips it ahead, looking for Palucci. Now Hewitt. Hewitt gaining the zone. Hewitt behind her, the Capitals net. Drops it back, looking for the centering pass. Agbe in. Agbe's shot is going to be stopped by the Capitals goalie. 5:47 on the clock. We restart play here. Hewer on the draw. Out there with Palucci. Agbe Caitlin and Martin. Capitals pick it up in the corner. Palucci battling hard. Hewer stops that puck from coming out. Palucci going hard into the wall. Picked up by Hewer. Hewer trying to find Agbe. Martin stepping up, gets a shot in. Goes wide of the net. Rims around. Picked up on the half wall by Capitals. Capitals going down ice. Gaining the zone. Defended by Flanagan. Turned aside by Streeter. Picked up by Kozarowski. She sends it behind her own net. This is going to be picked up by Caitlin in the corner and chipped ahead. Flanagan now getting it up to Kozarowski, who mows over a Capitals player in process of going to the net. Capitals chip it ahead. That's going to roll down for an icing. All right, yeah, that puck is down. Flanagan on D here, out with Streeter with a save. Gets that puck out. And Madison with a shot, blocked by Streeter. In the slot, drop back to their point. Shot, blocked by Clemens. Clemens now tripped up on the breakaway. And Bell Tire's going to go to a power play with the penalty draw by Clemens. So on ice for this Bell Tire power play, 4:23. Bell Tire's got to find the back of the net on this power play. Flanagan, Hewer, Agbe, Martin, Orlick. Puck is down. Flanagan drops to Hewer. Off the wall, Capitals gain possession. Catch it in neutral. Flanagan. Martin dropping in hard, picking up the puck in the corner. Hits the brakes. She's coming around, going up to Orlick. Orlick gains the zone, sends it deep. Picked up by Hewer. And Capitals regain possession, coming out through neutral. Defended by Flanagan. Gets dropped in. And Martin's going to pick this up in the corner. Martin coming across, finding Agbe. Agbe in neutral. Agbe gains the zone. Eltire needs to set up. Shot goes wide. Picked up by Hewer. Hewer drops to Flanagan. Flanagan goes to center. Flanagan out to Hewer. Back to Flanagan. Flanagan shot. Going to go wide of the net. Picked up by Martin behind the net. Half wall for Capitals. Stopped by Martin. Cleared out. That's going to go wide of the net. But we are with 22 seconds remaining in this power play. Flanagan picks it up. Now Markovic chips back in by the Capitals. And Morton. Morton coming up on a rush, coming through neutral. Gets disrupted by Capitals, but keeps it going. Gains the zone. Chased by Palucci, who's out there with Dobbs. Dobbs, Markovic, Palucci, Caitlin, and Morton. Penalty is over. Beltire, Madison's back on even strength. Dobbs on the half wall. Capitals coming out. Markovic with the puck in the slot. Markovic looking for a shot. Markovic's shot goes just over top of the net. Picked up by Palucci. Palucci drops back to Caitlin. Caitlin looks for a shot. Shot is, it's a Capitals player and knocks her over. Puck is sent up. Morton trying to keep the line. Picked up by Capitals in neutral. Clemens in to help. Capitals in the Bell Tire zone. Palucci, it curls off her stick, and it's just going to be covered up by Schroeder. 2:07 remaining in the second period. We will have an ice cut in between the second and the third. $11 shots for the Capitals, 9 for Bell Tire. Puck is down. Picked out by Cruciano, I believe. Cruciano just over her stick, still gets possession, drops it deep. Chased down by Clemens. Clemens behind the net. Now Kozarowski. Capitals pick it up in the slot, go glassing out. And Mackenzie Flanagan's going to shift it over to Bowman, who sends it deep, and that's going to be an icing. 1:40 on the clock. Bowman out there with Mackenzie Flanagan, Orlick, Hewer, and Agbe. Puck is down. Bowman sending it across to Flanagan. Flanagan looking for the stretch pass. It's going to miss its mark, and we are going to have an icing.
They have goggles on. Look.
1 minute, 30 seconds on the clock. Bell tire line change. Caitlin Flanagan in with Martin. Orlick staying out with Hewer and Agbe. Hewer on the draw. Capitals quick shot.
Wait.
And plays up by Martin to Agbe. Hits Hewer. Hewer gains the zone. Hewer driving the net. Hewer's shot in. Puck's loose. And there's a goal by Bell Tire. No idea who put that in. Looked like they had it covered, but they are going to call that a goal, and it looks like Orlick is going to come away with that goal. So Bell Tire is going to get one on the board here with 1 minute and 8 seconds left. And a puck is down. Capitals with the puck in their own zone, shifting it out to neutral. Same personnel for Bell Tire. 1 minute on the clock. Caitlin Flanagan chasing that down behind her own net, tipping it around, finding the winger on the wall, which is Palucci. Palucci battling here now. Puck right in front of the door. Almost does make it out. The neutral. And there are bodies flying everywhere here. Capitals now gain the zone. Shot in, defended by Martin, turned aside by Streeter. Capitals, and Caitlin Flanagan now on a rush as Markovich wide. Markovich, her pass is disrupted, sends it deep, finds Palucci behind the net. Capitals now with possession. Capitals coming out to neutral. Martin to defend. That shot blocked by Martin. Picked up by Morton. Morton hits it behind her own net. And that is going to be the end of the second period. We are going to go to a Zam cut. All right, Bell Tire coming back live. Hewer, Agbay, Orlick, Martin, Mackenzie, Flanagan on the ice for Bell Tire to start the third period. Bell Tire down by 1. Puck is down. Agbay over to Martin. Martin to Flanagan. Flanagan shifting up to Agbay. Agbay in the slot. Backhand shot covered up by the goalie. A little shoving on Orlick as she went through looking for the rebound. Face off in the Madison zone. Back to Mackenzie, and the puck was loose momentarily. Draw, one back. Tipped back to Flanagan with another shot. Deflected out front and cleared by the Capitals. Martin gets a stick on it in the neutral zone, and it's shifted ahead into the Bell Tire zone. Oh, shot wide of the net, picked up by Agbay. Agbay off the wall to herself. Agbay going up to Orlick. Orlick trying to hit Agbay in stride. Intercepted by Capitals, who send it back in. Goes wide of the net. Martin's going to pick it up off the half wall. Martin coming up ice. Martin going across. Finding Orlick. And Capitals intercept the pass from Orlick. And shift it deep off the ref. Pick it up in the Bell Tire zone, and it's collected in by Streeter. Puck is down. Morton trying to shift it out. Sent back in by the Capitals. Picked up by Dobbs. And Capitals get a shot gloved by Streeter. So we've got Markovich out. Martin coming in on D here. 13:37 on the clock. Lucci out there with Dobbs, Markovich, Morton, and Martin. Martin battling behind the Bell Tire net. Shifted out. Up ahead to Bellucci. Rolls off her stick and gets sent back in by the Capitals. This is going to be picked up by Dobbs. Dobbs coming out of the zone. Going over to Bellucci, who chips in. Finds the Capital zone behind their net. Bellucci. Capitals spinning behind their net. Bellucci now picked up by Kazarowski. Kazarowski misfire on the pass. Gets it back to Morton. Morton shot in. Tipped out front by the Capitals. Collected in by Martin in neutral. Martin tips it ahead. Martin gaining the zone here and is in the Capital zone. Clemens here. Martin's going to pick that up in neutral and shift it back down deep into the Capital zone. Capitals with possession on the half wall. Picked up by Kazarowski. Kazarowski to Martin. Martin to Clemens. Clemens gaining the zone. Chipped ahead. Cruciano to chase. Kazarowski behind the net with Cruciano. Out there with Orlick. And on D, we've got Flanagan and Bowman. Capitals pick it up off their half wall, go up through neutral. And this is going to be defended by Bowman. Behind the Bell Tire net, picked up by Cruciano. Trying to chip it ahead, and she is taken down. Hewer in to help. Now Mackenzie Flanagan. Puck behind the Bell Tire net, chased down by Hewer and Flanagan, picked up by Bowman on the half wall, and chipped ahead looking for Agbay. Behind her back and intercepted by the Capitals. Flanagan behind the net, shifted out to Hewer. Hewer hitting Orlick, and rolled off Orlick's stick, collected in by the Capitals, fired in on net, blocked by Streeter. Glassing out by Hewer. Hewer going ahead, finding Orlick. Orlick going to move into the Capital zone. Beltire with a shot on net goes wide. Dobbs dropping it back. Flies into Agbe. Agbe with a shot, rebound, and it's cleared out. Picked up by Morton. Morton sends it deep. Tipped back by Dobbs. Dobbs behind the Capitals net. Agbe out front, waiting for the centering pass. Agbe waiting, and Capitals come out with the puck. Going up their zone, out to neutral. Gains the Beltire zone. Picked up by Morton. Morton in the corner. Dobbs in to help. Chipped up ahead by Caitlin Flanagan. And down into the Capital zone. Markovich in on the corner with the Capitals. Markovich walking out, looking back for Caitlin. Flanagan fires. Goes wide of the net and is going to be almost covered up, but loose. Picked up by the Capitals on the half wall and shipped out into neutral. Capitals now coming up in a rush, picked up by Palucci. Palucci through neutral, hits it off the wall, looking for Kazarowski. No icing, and behind the net. 9:42 on the clock. Puck goes deep into the Beltire zone. Collected on the half wall by Capitals, now behind the Beltire net. Coming out with it is Hewer. Hewer up to Clemens. Clemens going rink wide to Cruciano. Cruciano collecting in center ice and getting it deep into the Madison zone. We're going to have a roughing, it looks like. There'll be a penalty on the Capitals. Beltire's going to go up on a power play here. 9:14 on the clock. Agbe Hewer in with Orlick, Martin, and McKenzie. Puck is down. Flanagan over to Martin. Martin walking in. Martin shot. And just missed the tip in the back of the net from Agbe. Agbe in the corner. Agbe back to Hewer. Hewer to Flanagan. Flanagan shot. Blocked out front. Goes to the corner. Collected by Capitals. Capitals send it to the length of the ice. That's going to roll behind, and Streeter's going to slow that down. It's going to be collected in by Flanagan. Flanagan going up to Orlick. Orlick circling back in her own zone. Orlick gaining the zone. Orlick circling the Capitals net. Orlick passing it up to Hewer on the half wall. Hewer dropping it to Flanagan. Martin keeping that in. And cleared by the Capitals. Going to go the length of the ice. 40 seconds remaining in this power play. Flanagan up to Martin. Martin catching the pass in neutral. Martin shifting over to Agbe. Agbe gaining the zone. Taken down by Capitals player. Sent around. Picked up by Martin. Martin in and gets it in on net. And it's covered by Capitals. 8:04 on the clock. 14-14 is the shots on net. 20 seconds remaining in the power play. Markovich, Dobbs. Dobbs on the draw. Markovich coming out with the puck. And Palucci out with Flanagan, Caitlin, and Morton. Morton sends it deep. Picked up by Palucci behind the net. Glove down by Dobbs. Dropped back to Markovich. Markovich on the half wall. Down to Dobbs. Dobbs in the corner. Dobbs going up top. Even strength. Caitlin, move around. Looking for some open space. Gets a shot. Blocked. And picked up by Capitals, who come through neutral. Defended by Morton. Offsides is the call with 7:28 on the clock. Draw will be just outside the Bell Tire zone.
Let's go, Richie. Let's go.
Lucci here on ice with Dobbs and Markovich. Capitals send it up through neutral, blocked by the ref, picked up by Bowman in neutral, and Flanagan collects the loose puck. Flanagan going up to Clemens. Clemens now gaining the Capital zone. Clemens in the corner. Sent in towards the net and goes wide. Capitals are going to pick it up on the half wall. Chip it way up ahead, and it's going to end up in the Bell Tire zone. Cruciano sending it across to Clemens. Clemens finding it, and Capitals clearing that for an icing. On ice is going to be Martin, Caitlin, Orlick, Hewer, Agbo. Drop back. Flanagan. Shot. Gloved by the goalie. Puck is down. Capitals in their own corner. Trying to chip it up the wall. Gets up to the half wall. Picked up by the Capitals. Defended by Caitlin. Chipped ahead. Martin to chase. Martin with the puck. Sending it around. Finding Agbe on the wall. Agbe spinning. Getting it to Hewer. Hewer going ahead to Orlick. Orlick now. In. Centering pass. And we're going to have a penalty here. It's a hook on the Capitals. That's going to put Bell Tire back up on a power play with 6 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the game. On ice is going to be Markovich, Agbe, Orlick, Martin, Mackenzie, Flanagan. Puck is down. Capitals with the puck. Sending it around. Misses Agbe's stick. Up the wall. Picked up by Martin. Martin walking. Pass goes out of the zone. Flanagan going wide. Catching Markovich. Gains the zone. Markovich up the half wall. Hits the brakes. Passes back to Flanagan. Flanagan walking. Flanagan's shot.